Hey there, it's Jen Henry, the host of Game Changer Real Estate Podcast. I'm also the broker owner of Game Changer Realty, and I am here today with my co-owner, co-partner in crime, friend, Melissa Cruz. And Melissa and I wanted to get together on this really informal chat and talk about all of the things we learned in 2022 and where we're headed in 2023, and really just kind of bookmark, benchmark the lessons from 2022. So not only can maybe somebody else learn from it, but also we can always go back and remember how we got where we're going, because sometimes it's a wild ride and we're never sure kind of how we got here. So anyway, Melissa, how are you today?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm so glad to be here and doing this with you. You and I talked, was it last week? We realized we had a lot of things that we remembered about this year and we wanted to capture those. So we set this up. Thank you for doing this today with me. This is a non-scripted chat that Melissa and I are going to have just about what we've learned and what we want to do and where we see ourselves going. And I hope that this really does help some business owners out there, especially real estate brokers, because this is what we are. We are a real estate brokerage. Now, for those of you that are new to our concept or haven't ever heard from me and Melissa before, Melissa, why don't you share with our listeners or our viewers a little bit about our unique concept as a brokerage?
Yeah. So our company is called Game Changer Realty, as Jennifer just mentioned, and we're a training brokerage. We bring on just brand new agents so that we can help them really learn how to build a real estate business. So our ideal agent is someone who, or I guess person, is someone who is looking for a career change and they want to build it through real estate. Maybe they're already in real estate school, looking to be licensed and finding a place that they can call home to, or maybe those agents who have just gotten licensed and they're really not sure where to go, how to start, what questions to ask. This is where we kind of come into play, and we get to help build and mold brand new agents and help them build a real estate career that they can be proud of.
Yeah. And that she said it beautifully. We recognize there's an untapped market in the world of real estate agents, and most people want the big high producing agents in terms of brokerages, because these brokerages make money. They make kind of guaranteed money on these people.
Yeah.
The untapped market is the brand new agent who's not proven talent, who's got an 87% failure rate looming over their head. And not a lot of people are willing to take a chance on them. And so we here at Game Changer Realty want to be that company that does that. We considered it, not only do we see it from a business sense that this is an untapped market, but we also, the two of us, are very passionate about it. What I've learned in the last year and a half that Game Changer has been opened, when I talk to people about what we do, their initial reaction is typically like, oh.
Why?
Why? You only take new agents? Why would you do that? Guys, if you're a brand new agent, please don't be offended by this. Okay. We love you. There is a place for you. Mm-hmm. But it isn't at every brokerage, because not every broker really has a heart to do what we do. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Every broker leader should know what their value offer is and really stand behind that and live that out loud every day. We know what ours is, and ours is simply focusing on the brand new agent, helping them get into production. Our focus is getting them into five deals. 5 deals. We believe that if they can do their 5 deals, preferably in 5 months, that we're going to secure them in the industry and give them a much greater position for their next year or two. So that's what we do. So if you're hearing this and you're like, why would you do that? Well, we do it because we love it. I have a background in it. Melissa has a background in it. I have a track record of success in it. Melissa has a track record of success. Why not? This is what we do. And we do it well. And we're continuing to improve upon it every single day. All right. I'm super passionate. Can you tell?
I know. I was going to jump in too. I was like, let me hold off.
You jump in, Melissa. You got to stop me, because I know how I am.
Well, I think it's important for listeners to understand that, when you go back to the statistics of how many people get into this business and fail in the first 2 years, we were almost one of them. So when we talk about our passion for it, it's because we are where you are. We have experienced what you've experienced, and we know how to help you push past that. And so I want to make sure they all understand this is not was success overnight. Like, we were you, and we experienced the same things that you are, and we want to help you. I think the biggest thing for me, when I got into real estate that I didn't know, was all of the opportunities and possibilities that were available to me because I tapped into this industry. There were other goals and dreams that I had that I know other people have, which is why they get into real estate. I want to help them achieve that as well. There's so much opportunity in this industry. Now you can hear my passion going, that I want to help people achieve that. You know, we were you. Let us help guide you on how we can help you then achieve the goals that you have for your life.
Melissa, yes. A, B, and C, we were you. I mean, if we could literally say it, A, it's untapped market, B, we're passionate about it, C, we were you. All right. So we're developing our outline here as we go. And, you know, yeah, I was once a struggling agent. Someone took a bet on me and gave me what I needed to get started. It took me 7 years to do that. But I really thank Christine Lee. I hope she's listening to this one day. Christine Lee was someone who took a real interest in helping me succeed, gave me coaching and training that I need. A lot of what Game Changer Realty is today is what I learned then and there. Mm-hmm. And then accumulating over all the years of the things I've learned in not only real estate and success and business, but also leadership and business ownership. So yeah, great point, Melissa. We were once these agents that we help. Of course, I don't think I could do this if I hadn't been that agent at some point.
Right.
By the way, I was a statistic because 7 years into the business, I did quit for 2. I quit for 2 years. And again, it was when I came back that I came back with support. And then my life changed forever. So that's what we're here about. So just to give everybody a brief history, Melissa and I opened Game Changer Realty in 2021. At the end of September, October of 2021, we did not take new agents. We were just building the systems. And then in 2022, we hired our first agents. And as a recap, we hired 25 agents total in 2022. And that was, by many standards, that's a lot. But for us, it really wasn't our goal at all. It was way less than what we wanted. But I think if we can just be honest with all of our viewers or listeners here today, I can say that building this company has been so much harder than I thought it was going to be. And I knew that because I've built other companies before, I've built other businesses, but for whatever reason, and this is just what I do, I underestimate the amount of time and energy that's going to go into the visions that I see. So I see a vision, I see it come to pass, I see who it can help, I see the outcomes, and I underestimate what it's going to demand of me. Melissa, what do you think about that? Like in terms of where we were and where we are, what's your perspective on the difficultness of it?
Well, I would have to agree. You know, again, I'm just like you are. I can see it as well, you know, and in theory, it's beautiful and it's great and it's perfect. It's going to work well. And I think the biggest lesson for me was none of it worked. Not, you know, in a bad way, but a lot of it didn't work. You know, what I think the biggest lesson was becoming a better listener. Our agents taught us what they needed, what we thought about and what we thought they needed and what we were trying to execute or did execute in the very beginning was not at all what they needed. And so what this year taught me was being a better listener and being able to pivot and provide what is being asked for, what is being needed, because that's what they're asking, right? It's kind of what's on the plate at the moment, not what I thought in theory was going to be what they needed or what was going to work out. It was really just slowing down, listening, and providing it then. So it was a lot of pivots and changes and growth and, oh, I didn't know we needed that, or hey, this wasn't as well as we thought it was going to be. And so anyway, so that was my thoughts.
You kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I feel like that was my biggest lesson for this year of business, where this is our first year, obviously, with agents. Mm-hmm. Like Melissa said, we had this whole structure of how we were going to put them through our program and what we were going to do. And as we started playing it out, it showed us the gaps and the holes and the deficiencies in it. And so we have systematically been plugging those holes and creating a system that I believe, I'm just, mark my words, today is what, January the 5th, 2023, or 3rd, whatever. I don't know what today is. Early January 2023. I believe what we have created is the beginning of what actually we will actually need and what actually will work. Now, I also want to say what we did work. Melissa, you said it didn't work. It did work. We did produce some really great sales and some really great agents. And we really are moving these agents, we're moving them forward. They've learned so much this year and they've done so many incredible things. But we know there's more.
Yeah.
We know.
And that's what I meant. Yeah.
I know. I just, it didn't work because Melissa and I are freaking high achievers and we want it all. And we want everybody to be what they want to be. And we have not achieved that. But here's the other truth. We knew going into this that there would be a fallout rate. And I don't like to talk about it because it feels negative, but it's part of being a smart business owner. And Melissa and I factored in a fallout rate. And I will say we are way below our fallout rate. We have retained 20 of our agents and haven't had any issues with retention. Our agents are happy. They are growing. They are learning. They are preaching and praising us as a brokerage because they're getting what they need. Mm-hmm. This will be the year where they're actually making the money they want to make. I believe that because of the new things that we're putting into place. So, Melissa, so you said one of your lessons was that you learned to let the business show us what we needed. I want to remind you that when we opened this company in July of 2021, when I called you and said, why don't we just open the doors instead of waiting for everything to be perfect? Why don't we hire a couple agents? Remember that?
Yes.
I said, why don't we just let a couple agents come on board and then they'll tell us what we need. 20 freaking agents later, we now know what we need. And so let's talk about some of the things we've learned we need, or some of the things we've thrown away we don't need. And I'll start by saying that we recognize, and I don't know that this is a popular opinion or not, but we recognize that virtual doesn't work. At least for our model and the energy and value we provide, virtual is a Band-Aid to get content into people. It's not going to create the same kind of energetic response people need when they come together. We have noticed that when we're meeting on Zoom or whatever, which thank God we had Zoom. I'm so thankful for it. And we do still have a lot of virtual options. But when people meet on Zoom, they're learning, but they're distracted and they're not all the way present. But when they're here, when they're with us at our office in person, at our brick and mortar, they are so much more engaged. They're so much more excited. And there's always an influx of activity after we meet. What do you say about that, Melissa? What are your thoughts?
I agree. There's nothing like the in-person energy that you get from everyone, and everyone is so motivated and inspired, and there is a spike in action after that. I 100% agree.
Yeah. So when we started, we originally said we were going to be a 90% virtual company. I would say right now we are probably more of a 50% in-person and virtual. And I think that's kind of where we're landing. We have a lot of virtual, but we are pivoting this year to a lot more in-person things. And that said, Melissa, we have a big announcement to make, don't we? About our in-person stuff.
Yes.
You want to share it?
No, you do.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because you knew I wanted to. We are making a move. We are, in the next month, we're going to be moving into a bigger space. We're moving into 3,200 square feet, where we're going to have a giant training room. We're going to have a podcast studio and just a whole new vibe for our people. Because again, the lesson that I took away from 2022, and I know Melissa agrees, is we got to be in person. We've got to have a space where our agents can come and feel like they have a job. I mean, that's the reality. Now, once these agents get into production, and maybe other brokerages that have higher producing agents that are dependent on their real estate income don't see the need for this, I could see that. Mm-hmm. But what we do in this beginning phase, when everything is so precariously hanging on the edge of this cliff, we have to be in person with these people, and we have to see them. We have to breathe life into them face to face. So how are you feeling about the move, Melissa?
I'm excited. Yeah, so excited.
Yeah, me too. We'll be sharing more about that soon. It's going to be probably in the next month, and we're really excited about that. And so stay tuned for that, because we're going to be splashing that all over the socials. Let's see, Melissa, what else did we learn this year that we don't need? So we learned virtual didn't necessarily work for us. What else do you feel like we kind of took away from this year?
I think we, not that we don't need, but I think we needed to learn how to simplify some of the things that we have, because we are very detail oriented people. Turns out none of our agents are. when we did the unique value proposition and we really got to learn who they were as a human being, we have the complete opposite of who we are. And so it was just kind of learning that information, again, making that pivot, to meet them where they are, and not expecting us of them, and just being true that. So it wasn't something we didn't need, it just simplifying it so we can really provide exactly what it was that they needed to get them the results that we're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. And in doing so, we have created this year 2 courses, 2 full-fledged courses that we have for our company that are also going to be available for purchase outside of our company if an agent wants to. They are called I Have a Buyer Now What and I Have a Seller Now What. And these are 2 courses we created to give our agents immediate resources to go to when they get a buyer and they're new in the business, and it's a Saturday at 7. These are courses they can go through and learn what the process is, what you say. They include scripts, they include everything. So we know that we are creating resources for our agents, simple resources that they know where they can go to so that we do not become the resource, because that does not equip our agents. If we are the resource, it doesn't equip them. So we are training and teaching them where to find their resources and how to be resourceful. We created I Have a Buyer Now What, I Have a Seller Now What. And then we're very proud of the 5 and 5 program that we created. The 5 and 5 program is our own curriculum that a new agent will go through. It takes them 5 months, and the goal is to have 5 deals at the end of that 5 months. It's a bite size, and I mean bite size approach to building a real estate business plan. And we do it one day at a time. They watch 1 video a day, they fill out 1 form a day, they do 1 thing a day. It's very simple, but we believe that they're the building blocks. And then our job, we created the system. Our job is just to have the agents show up once a week to be accountable to it. And that's where we landed with our simplistic plan of what we're going to be doing moving forward, because it is complex out there.
Yeah.
Agents are bombarded as new agents with do this, do this, do this, who's doing what, and social media shows this person doing this and this person doing that. And we really feel like our job is just to quiet all that noise and just put their blinders on and say, do today's activity, just today, do this one, and trust us that this will work. And it is working.
Well, and that's a prime example of something that we didn't know we were going to need.
That's right.
Our honest truth expectation was that we were going to bring in agents and they were not going to be into production until maybe 90 days. We had agents come in and immediately got into business.
That's right.
Which we were not expecting or planning, which is how that buyers and sellers course kind of came about. That wasn't the initial plan. It was on the list to get done, but that ended up having to be something we did a lot sooner, because we ended up having agents that came in that did have business right away, which is great. But it was something that we then had to kind of, again, pivot and create, because that is what they needed in that moment.
That's right. I agree. And that's a perfect example of our agents showing us what we needed.
Yeah.
We've also been learning that we have to be able to scale everything we do. So we are creating every single thing with a 5-year plan in mind, knowing we may not need that scalability right now, but we will soon. And so for us, it's been about building this every step along the way, thinking, okay, this can accommodate 20 agents, but can it accommodate 100? Can it accommodate 400? And so it's always like, what is the plan B, C, and D beyond this growth point? And will this system scale to that? So we're not having to recreate it. Right. So that has been something else that we've learned this year to do. So the 5 and 5 was, again, our simplistic version of creating a system that the agents can plug into easily every day, that keeps them energized, but plugged in every day.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So Melissa, what else? Anything else that you can think of that we've learned or that we want to do, or just any ahas taken away from 2022?
The only thing I come back to is that, just like you mentioned earlier, even though we've been in this industry, we coach other agents, it's still rather challenging. It's not an easy thing to do, an easy thing to build, and living on faith and certainty that we know what we're doing is going to work out. And I think for me, just thinking about this year, every aspect of what we have done, all the decisions that we have made, even though we didn't see any money coming from it right away, always came back to, we have faith and certainty that what we are doing is right. We are on the right path. We have the right passion for it, and it is going to help and change people's lives. And so I just want to continue to carry that faith and certainty of what we're doing and what our company means, and then what it's going to mean for the world in the future.
Yeah, so beautifully said, Melissa. I love that. How many times over the last year and a half have you and I had to say to each other, this is going to work?
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Melissa, let's talk about you and me.
Yeah. I was like, perfect pivot.
I know, perfect pivot. You and me. So you and I have been working together for a year and a half on this. We've been working together on other things before, but I tapped you on the shoulder about a year and a half ago, maybe more, and said, you want to do this thing with me? Here you are a year and a half in, Melissa. Moment of truth for the whole world. You can share. How do you feel about this working with me and this vision and this mission a year and a half later?
I feel great about what we have built. I think, again, just to be kind of honest, our relationship in this capacity was a little bit of a challenge, not in a negative way, but like you mentioned before, we have worked together for a long time, but we have never worked with each other in this capacity, and so learning how to navigate through this relationship and what that looks like, we are very much alike. So having our strong personalities and learning how to work together, again, in this capacity alongside of each other, not you as my coach or whatever. I mean, we're kind of standing alongside of each other. It's a different dynamic. I have loved every bit of it, even the good, bad, and the ugly. I've loved every minute of it because I just appreciate our relationship more, what we're doing and what it means for us. And I think for everybody listening, we would not have been able to do that unless we have had open communication with each other, kind of every step of the way. I think for me, that was kind of the biggest aha as far as for us, is that we haven't worked together in this way. And we're going to have to learn our personalities, although they're very similar, but learn our personalities and how to work with each other and support each other, throughout the whole thing. I think that's so important. But because you and I have had that open communication, I feel like it's beautiful, and that's why we're still here today.
Yeah, I agree. And, there have been times when Melissa's had stuff she's going through where she's not the best version of herself. And I've had times when I'm going through things and I'm not the best version of myself. But what I always come back to is I know Melissa. And even if Melissa's MIA or down or anything, she's a human going through a thing, right? Like anybody, that I know her heart and I know I can trust her. She feels safe to know that she's coming back. And that doesn't happen very often, but it happens because we're humans. And I know, and I hope you felt that way about me, because we've had moments where we're MIA for like a week or two at a time. We're like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm dealing with this thing.
Yeah.
And it takes an exorbitant amount of energy and focus to do what we're doing. And sometimes we just have to like retreat and regroup.
Yeah.
Melissa has been able to see, she said it best, the good, the bad, and the ugly of me. I portray myself as a very positive, forward-thinking, energetic person, but I have my moments when I am not nice and I am ugly. And Melissa has seen a couple of those throughout the time. And I hope I've always come back and said, I'm sorry or whatever. And, we always work it out. That's the thing.
Well, and we're human.
Yeah.
We can't, we don't have these unrealistic expectations of each other, which I think is really fair. No one is going to succeed alone. So if you're in a position right now, even if you're not an agent listening and you're a broker, and you're kind of overwhelmed or whatever your situation is, you've got to find somebody, that can help you, because we're not going to grow to the level of success that we want to by ourselves, but having you as my partner, I 100% trust you, even through the good, bad, and the ugly. If we didn't have those moments, I would question our relationship. Like, hey, am I working with a real Jen here?
Yeah.
Because that's not realistic. And I think being able to be there for each other in that way is beautiful too, allowing each other to have that space to just be human when we need to be, but we know that we kind of regroup and come back stronger than ever.
Yeah. You and I are mission focused ladies. We are mission focused. We're not quitters. We don't give up. We've got a lot invested financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all the ways. We are financially, in all ways invested into this mission. And we're too far gone now, man. We got to keep this ship moving in the right direction, but I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. And Melissa, you've made it possible for us to even get this thing off the ground. I wouldn't have started it had I not had a partner like you that could walk us through this and be with me and pivot with me. And in this 2023 year, Melissa and I both are redefining our roles within the company. Melissa's going to be hopefully stepping into a greater leadership and ownership spot within the company. I have a vision for myself of not being as involved in the day-to-day in the next few years. And so growing this company to a point where we can both operate in our strengths on a daily basis and not in the minutia. Right now, Melissa and I are everything. We are the business owners, the coaches, the janitors, the trash people, all of the things, and content creators. And we did hire a consultant graphic designer this year. And I should say we have our amazing assistant, Tony.
Yes.
Who is incredible at keeping up on our pace. She's in the Philippines. She works on our hours, even though it's the middle of the night, and she deals with everything we throw at her. And so she's been an incredible.
Oh, yes.
The 5 and 5 program that we rolled out, our curriculum that we rolled it out this year, would not be possible if it had not been for this woman who's working tirelessly over there in the Philippines with our crazy ideas. Yeah. So anyway, and then the last thing that I want to make sure, the last person I want to mention is Jake Dixon. You know, Jake isn't on this call here with us today, but he is also so freaking important in the success of Game Changer Realty. Not only has Jake been a confidant and supporter of us, he's been our coach. He's a personal friend of ours, and he cares deeply about what we're doing and how we're doing. And our position with the Locker Room, which is a company he owns, has really positioned us for everything we're learning and doing as an example of what to do and what not to do. And so the Locker Room, we just want a huge shout out to Jake and the Locker Room for everything you've done to support us and bring us to this point. If you are a broker here who has not learned about the Locker Room, you need to go check it out and find out how the Locker Room can help you build your company as well, and give you the resources you need that you are probably missing. Yeah. So huge shout out to Jake on that too. Mm. Well, anything else, Melissa, burning in your soul that you want to share with the world here today?
Well, I wanted to add as well, I was thinking as you were talking that one thing that I think you and I did really well this year, especially with each other, is allowed each other to work within our strengths. We are all things right now for the company, but when you go into the intricacies of some of the specifics, there are things that just you do. There are things that I just kind of take over, but there are things that we both, again, we're open to communicating and sharing. We have got to know each other so well that and then because of that, we allowed each other to work within our strengths. And all of this works because of that fundamental piece.
It's true.
You can't do it all. I can't do it all, whether we want to or we're just not good at it, whatever the reason is, there's reasons. And we just kind of come back to the table and we're like, okay, well, this is who I am. This is who I am. And then we take ownership of what we're really good at. And I could not have asked for anything better than that. You know, being supported in that way just means so much. It makes me feel as your partner and as a leader that I'm being seen and heard as a human being, you know, and you value what I am really good at. You take that into consideration. And it's the same for you, you know, and that's being honest with, hey, I'm just really not good at that. Like, this is not my strongest suit. You know, we've had to be really honest about who we are and how we're going to go about building this business. Because if not, it's going to fail. Like if we're fake about who we are and what we think we are and who we think we know, it's not going to work. So really being authentic, going back to the good, bad, and the ugly, being authentic in every which way makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so true. And what Melissa's saying, but not saying is, if it weren't for her, I'd probably be in jail. Well, what I mean by that is Melissa is our compliance, really dedicated to compliance and building systems around that so that we don't do stupid things that get us in trouble. I'm not as detail oriented as that. And although my name is on the door for now, I don't pay as much of attention. I'm really the visionary, and I'm really more about production, and I'm really more about coaching and driving and helping the agents see what's possible. And sometimes the minutia of contracts gets lost on me, but not on Melissa. And I'm so thankful for Melissa, even though we've had absolutely zero broker issues this year. Yeah. As we grow, we're going to have them. And I know we need that. So, and Melissa will say things to me like, I'm doing this thing, but it's your license. So how do you feel about that? Am I right, Melissa?
Very true.
Yeah, it's your license. So how do you feel? So one of these days I'm going to move it to her license and let her make her own decisions. We'll see how that goes. All right, guys. Well, we'll wrap up this little recap of 2022 and just share with you that 2023 holds great promise for us. Our goal is 100 agents. I'm just going to throw that out there. We want to recruit 80 agents this year, brand new licensees. We want to do that through reaching out to people before they're even thinking about getting into real estate. We have a great podcast, Game Changer Real Estate Podcast, where we have developed an entire year's worth of content for new agents or people thinking about getting into the business. We are moving, so we're creating a new space. We are partnering with a real estate school this year, so we can offer hopefully pre-licensing soon. We are going to have a podcast studio that's going to be available for rent. Melissa, I'm just sharing all the secrets.
Oh, okay. You're good.
Okay. We're going to start a podcast this year for our agents that are going to start answering consumer news. We are going to start doing first-time home buyer seminars in 2023. We are releasing a store with all of our merchandise and all the fun things our agents can wear to help build their business. And we're going to do community events, and it's exhausting, but we have it broken out into projects, and we're rolling, and it's exciting. I'm not going to leave this podcast or this episode or whatever we're doing here, this chat today, without saying to our agents, we love you. We are thankful for you, and you have taught us so much. I remember when I was going through my cancer treatment, my oncologist moved to Seattle. And I remember being so devastated that she was moving. And she said something to me that changed me as a leader. She said, Jen, I was thanking her for helping me through that. And she said, Jen, I want to thank you because you made me a better doctor. And I was just so floored by the fact that a patient could make a better doctor. It never even occurred to me. And I say all that to say our agents make us better leaders. They make us better owners. They make us better brokers. They make us better because they push us to continually provide value and increase the value so that they can ultimately have what they want. And that's our dream and our goal for them. So agents, if you're one of our Game Changer Realty agents and you're listening to this right now, know that you are loved and cherished and appreciated. And we're also ready to kick you in the butt so that 2023 is your best year ever. Because when you have a great year, so will we. And that's what this whole partnership is about. So I'll conclude with that unless there's anything else you have, Melissa.
That was it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for being here. And I look forward to doing this again at the end of 2023 and really doing a mind-blowing summary of really what we've achieved this year. It's exciting and thankful to be in this journey with you, Melissa. So to everyone listening, have an amazing 2023. Let the lessons be what they are. Love the journey. We'll catch you soon. Talk to you later. Bye.